Grab a cup, pull up a chair. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast is on the air. Different branches, different posts, different years, same ride. We know the long convoys, guardships, chow halls, pride. We know the crackle of a radio, boots humming on the floor, letters home, family calls, the waiting by the door. No matter where we serve or the uniform we wore, there's always room around this table. Come on in and shut the door. Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Pull up and take a seat. One cup, one story. Keep the pulse and beat. Veterans Coffee Club, where the words run deep. We show up, we speak up, and we keep what we keep. With a hot cup of coffee and some truth we need to say. Veterans helping veterans, that's how we lead the way. Blue or green, doesn't matter. Yeah, you still in. If you're in it now, say so. We all pack the boxes, we move from town to town. Hey! Late nights with the news on, yeah, and the phone right there. You know that life too, yeah, we live some of it. You ever have one of those days you don't know what to say all the time? That's why we sit here. From yesterday's warriors to those still serving today, we honor every sacrifice and the price that freedom paid. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Grab a cup, take a seat. One cup, one story. Honest talk, no repeat. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Say it plain, say it straight. We show up, we speak up. No backing out the gate. So grab a cup and join us. We keep it real, we keep it true. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast starts right here with you. Veterans helping veterans. One cup, one story, and one conversation at a time.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it's off to a rough start. 9 a.m. comes a lot quicker when you try to sleep in. So, all right. So my name is Nicole Schuyler Kapuscinski. I am the host of the Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Today I will be flying solo, and hopefully in our future we can get upwards of at least 3 other veterans that can come on with me each week to talk about whatever topics we feel like talking about. For today, something popped up on my radar this week, and I wanted to talk about it. I never thought in a million years that we would be able to try to pull off a third party in Indiana or nationally, and it looks like in Indiana we got Greg Ballard going for a third party, and we have, as of I don't even know what day it was that he announced this, but it looks like Tucker Carlson is wanting to run for president in 2028. So that was interesting news that fell in my lap this week. And then the third party that him and Marjorie Taylor Greene are wanting to start up. I think there was a couple names on there that I hadn't really paid attention to, but now that they're wanting to run for a third party, it makes me want to see what they got going on. So I was going to pull up some stuff over here, and I'll go ahead and get that up. Let's see. Just do the simple Google search for now, because just start from scratch. Because really, I don't even think I've watched some of Tucker Carlson's podcasts like I do some of the other people I watch, like Valhalla VFT. I mention him often. Another guy I just found, which he's on Facebook after the uniform. And hold on one second. Got a phone call. Aaron, can you call Dylan and tell him I'm on a podcast? I can't answer. Thank you. Dylan's calling. So could you call him and tell him? That's my son. And usually he doesn't call this early, but he is calling me right now. So I'll let my husband take care of that. Okay, let's get back over here. So pop up the Tucker Carlson stuff just popped up on my radar. I don't know what to think. I kind of like Tucker Carlson, at least some of his older work. I did pull up some stuff. I don't know if I agree with everything Tucker Carlson says or does, but I mean, heck, a lot of people don't agree with everything I say or do, and you know, it's just the beauty of being an American. We don't have to always agree with each other, but you know, some of us find our middle ground. But I will say, after being punished by the Republican Party for supporting other veterans who do not necessarily align with me politically, or they claim other party affiliations, it has been a paradigm shifting experience, to say the least. I served as a Republican. I've always thought I was a Republican. It wasn't until this year that I started learning about Republican in good standing, Republican in bad standing. I didn't even know that was a thing. So getting, I guess, ran over by their train, it's hurtful. I watched them do it to Catherine First back in February. Same thing. She got in trouble for supporting people who didn't necessarily align with Republicans, but it was a woman who was worthy of mention. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head, but she's a black coroner, female coroner from Marion County down in Indianapolis, and she's done some great things. And so when Catherine said, you know, congratulations on whatever it was that had happened, she got punished for it. So it's sad that the parties have resorted to attacking their own based on silly things like telling someone congratulations, which will lead into that too by the end. I think Drew, okay, so on the mouthwash platform, if some of you don't know, there's several podcasts, and so there's like Witty Review, Steve Whitmer, Drew. I want to say it the German way. I don't know how he says it, but Weingarten. I want to make a V sound in his name, but Drew, Brad Sowinski, Tiffany, and I don't think I'd have to see her name to be able to pronounce it. John, and who else? I can't think off the top of my head, but anyway, there's several of us on this platform, so we share it, and I've been following a lot of their news lately, things they've been putting out. So today, Witty is actually on the chopping block for the Libertarian Party. So if Drew or somebody jumps in here in a little bit towards the end, I'll give them a little airtime, because today's a big day for the Libertarian Party, and it looks like a lot of people are getting punished because we don't necessarily agree with everything. And in order to play the game, you have to belong to one of them, supposedly. So the whole idea of a third party is interesting. And people say you can't win elections if you're not Republican or Democrat because a lot of people like to vote straight ticket. So that's where the problems are going to lie for whatever third party comes out. So, okay, so this was launched this week. And okay, I'm going to click some of these and I'm going to let them play. But I have no clue who some of these people are. So if I don't like what they're saying, or it's I don't want AI generated news. I think it's kind of silly to have AI talking about this stuff. I want real humans. So if this video turns into something that's silly and just AI all over it, I'm going to switch on to something else. But I want to look at this one.
Right, some people call them crank right, but certainly the sort of right split from Trump have a real problem with freedom. They have, which is meant to be the sort of the whole idea of the MAGA America is about sort of liberty, the sort of American freedom and celebration of all of that. But look at Carlson's previous comments on saying that he'd much rather live in Qatar than New York because in New York people defecate on the streets and homeless people have sex in ATM vestibules, but in Saudi Arabia or any of these places it's wonderful and clean, despite the fact that that's in large part because there's Sharia law and anyone who does anything a bit naughty from not just leaving litter or stuff on the streets, but gay people kissing will get locked up and worse.
Gosh, I've been naughty in moderating our discussion because now we've got 5 minutes left for 2 other stories. Let's do our best. During a heavily promoted live stream on Wednesday, the former Fox News host Tucker Carlson unveiled his 10-point vision for America. During the stream, he also warned that a major shift in the US political landscape is looking increasingly likely.
And the question is, what will that be? And again, we don't know. We know that changes in technology or power shifts globally, all of these facts on the ground are followed by political changes. Political changes follow those changes. They don't incite those changes, right? They're responses to those changes. And so we're getting political changes. They will find political expression. And will it be a third party? Probably. The most radicalizing fact of American politics in the last, century is the confirmation that we got on or about February 28th that the parties on the big issues are identical.
Tucker Carlson there, he's got a 10-point manifesto. Each point is labelled like fair, productive, healthy, optimistic. What do you think is going on here, Freddie? You're our resident US expert.
Well, I think we in Britain, if people know about Tucker Carlson, they have this sort of perception of him as a sort of far-right radical and so on. But I'd encourage everybody to actually take an hour and a half if they have a...
Like I said, I don't know what we're getting myself into, and I'm trying on another screen to find a different video to watch. So just bear with me for a minute.
Spare hour and a half to listen to his monologue because it's actually an incredible performance. I mean, he is an amazing speaker. He is an extremely talented rhetorician. And he lays out this vision for America that is very compelling. And he has fallen out with Donald Trump. He was friendly with Donald Trump. They fell out of a few things, but particularly Iran. Tucker Carlson was very disappointed about the Iran war, quite depressed by the Iran war, I think. And he has made a lot of his broadcast material is about Israel. And a lot of people accuse him of being an anti-Semite. I don't think he is. I should say I know Tucker and I like Tucker a lot. I don't think he's an anti-Semite. I think that he is an extremely impressive figure. And I remember Michael Lewis, the American writer, I interviewed him once when Boris Johnson was Prime Minister, and he said, Boris Johnson, there is an American who is just like Boris Johnson, and it's Tucker Carlson. And I thought that was an interesting point because they're both journalists from quite a privileged background who have this immense charisma and ability to win people over. And I do think people have been asking him if he wants to run for president for a long time. It looks like he's going in that direction.
Yeah, certainly people
a
are
very compelling candidate.
Yeah, certainly people are encouraging him. He's interviewed with Vladimir Putin still.
Okay, I found one from my other favorite guy. And Valhalla is raw. Okay, I'm just gonna pre-warn you. I don't know what's gonna come out of his mouth once I push play. We're not gonna watch the whole video, but I'm pretty sure if Valhalla is covering it. Okay, this is where I want to start. This is what I saw, and I don't know if it was on Valhalla's, like when I was going through the YouTube channels and just seeing what was going on, but I thought at first when I saw this picture that it was I wasn't sure who it was. Now I do recognize Marjorie over here, and then of course Tucker Carlson's up here. This is Marjorie's new husband, but I thought this was AI generated. I didn't realize that this is the making of something new. Let me fix my banner real quick. Where'd it go? Okay, here. Let's see. I don't have it. It's hard. It is hard running all these bells and whistles. One of these days, we'll get some helpers. It's okay. Back over here. So I saw this picture and I thought, man, that looks an awful lot like AI, but I guess apparently it's not AI, and that these people really met. I think one of them's Massey, and see, I haven't really followed him. I know some stuff happened. And maybe that's something we can cover in the next couple episodes, just kind of as this story starts breaking. But I want to play a couple minutes of Valhalla's take on it, because he's raw and unfiltered the way I like it. So it gives me, it's not just like one-sided. Well, he may be. Well, I'll just let you guys see.
Massive waves at Tucker Carlson's house, I believe. You've got Thomas Massey, Joe Kent, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and their spouses. And man, this one has caused people to start freaking out. Now, we were going to ask Joe Kent about this today on our live stream together, but he's got a personal emergency, so we're having to reschedule that episode. Sorry about that, guys. But again, let's talk about this. And then this was also posted by both Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker. All right, so Marjorie posted the picture and said, "We said no more foreign wars, and we meant it and supported Donald Trump because he made that promise. But he's betrayed us all. Our commitment is America first for all." Tucker then says, "MAGA was betrayed. We all were. It's time for a new path forward." More tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern on Tucker Carlson. We'll take a look at that in a little bit as well. Now, these were all just kind of rumors and whisperings at first when people started saying things like this. Reports like this show America First figures announce a bold new direction. Greene, Carlson, Massey, Joe Kent, and Brian Glenn promote what they describe as a new America First political movement. Now, that became not so much rumors or whispers anymore when Tucker Carlson, I believe he put out, or at least I'm seeing this, a 10-point plan, which I believe would be representative of what this new movement would be pushing for policy-wise. Let's take a look at that. All right, this was just hours ago. Tucker Carlson's 10-point plan sparking rumors that the commentator may run for president. Oh, the internet is melting down over that idea. Now, guys, I don't know if this is actually from Tucker Carlson or not for sure yet because it just broke. So let's have that in the context, but let's see what this says. All right, it says, number one, fair. The same rules should apply to presidents, federal agents, and elites such as Big E, whose impunity Carlson cast as emblematic of the Epstein class enriching itself through a corrupt system. Agree. Yeah, that's exactly how it should work because we're seeing what's happening with Donald Trump spiraling out of control with fraud and grift. Yeah, we could use some accountability. Sovereign, Carlson claimed Israel pushed the U.S. into the war with Iran through bribery or threat or both while describing foreign lobbying, corporate control of the government, and high-interest debt as forms of slavery. Yes, agree with all of that. Talk about it on my channel all the time. Productive. America should rebuild farming, manufacturing, and craftsmanship while rejecting an economy dominated by finance, real estate speculation, surveillance system, and weapons. Yes, agree. We should focus on all of those things and get away from the surveillance state and the military-industrial complex. Beautiful. Carlson alleged that urban planners deliberately uglified American cities and portrayed brutalist architecture, graffiti, public drug use, and violent crime as deliberate attacks on the public. Yeah, I would say that's objectively true. Our cities do not look anywhere near as nice as they used to. Healthy. Carlson embraced RFK Jr.'s food agenda, calling for universal sobriety, and said widespread use of drugs such as Xanax, Adderall, and SSRIs have left Americans half-addled. Now, I probably push back. I don't think that RFK has done a very good job with MAHA. We have seen that. But I will say I do agree with this, that we definitely need to look into things like SSRIs that have been absolutely detrimental to the young American public for sure. Honest, government officials should be punished for lying to citizens, and classified records, including the JFK files, should be opened. Yes, please, let's do that. Optimistic, Carlson argued that having children is a biological imperative and the foundation of long-term thinking, while blaming aging and childless elites for policies that disregard future generations. A lot of people might argue with this, but I will just point to Lindsey Graham, perfect example of a politician in power for over 2 decades in the United States with no children, who again was an insanely warmongering genocidal maniac, which kind of proves the point that Tucker's talking about there. Why schools should teach how the physical world actually works and what he called unchanging facts about human nature, including innate differences between men and women rather than credentials, screens, and technological fads. All right, this one I would probably need more context on to really see what they actually mean here. Decent. The U.S. should apologize and pay restitution for killing non-combatants, reverse Trump's Department of War rebrand, and stop funding allies that commit what Carlson called genocide, citing our greatest ally. So yeah, I mean, reversing that rebrand is probably good, because phrasing in this is important. If you're the Department of Defense, you are strategically concerned with defending the nation. If you're the Department of War, you're basically saying this is what we do. We go fight wars. And yes, we should stop all military funding to other countries. Most specifically, that one. And united, Carlson called halting immigration until the effects of AI become clear, ending benefits for undocumented immigrants, and making English the sole language of federal documents and on ballots. Now, from the immigration standpoint.
Okay. So that's I'm in agreement with some of these, and I can't help it. See, number 1, fair. Number 2, sovereign. Number 3, productive. Number 4, beautiful. Number 5, healthy. Number 6, honest. Number 7, optimistic. 8, wise. 9, decent. 10, united. So, same rules should apply to presidents, federal agents, and elites such as Jeffrey Epstein. I think they should have already have released the Epstein files a long time ago. Personally, not going into too much detail, but I do have military sexual trauma, and so there's this part of me that goes out to other women who experience these types of things, but I get righteously angered when it comes to anything sexual to do with children. So the whole Epstein thing has had my blood boiling since the beginning, and I can't believe that I don't even know when they started talking about releasing the files, but the fact that it's taken this long to put the information out is concerning. And some of the talks from last week, so we talked last week, it was about the Israel American military merger, and a lot of us aren't very happy about it. So, here we are. They're saying that the people who voted, well, there are other independent media people out here like Valhalla and a couple others. I can't remember if Valhalla said it, so I don't want to put this on him. But other people were saying something about the people who voted to merge the militaries were quite possibly on the list. So that's food for thought. Food for thought there. And the list being the people who voted to have the merger of the militaries, because somebody else said it was treason. There's another, we watched the videos last week talking about it was treason for us to merge militaries with a foreign entity, especially one that is historically known for espionage is a strong word, but they're really good with their ground game techniques. So it's they could have access to all of our information now, veterans. And then I do believe it was Valhalla that said if something was to happen, and I do have to agree with him on I don't think our American soldiers would turn on other American citizens. And that's something that when I was in back in 2008 that we talked about sometimes. Like if we had to make a choice, if they called us into a scenario like out in DC, when they had the National Guard come in, if us active duty people were to go, would we be able to, somebody said you got to shoot people, would we have been able to pull the trigger? And a lot of us agreed we wouldn't have been able to do it. So they're bringing up good facts about foreign agents or foreign soldiers on our soil would not have the same regard for other American citizens that other American soldiers might. So that's food for thought for future. And okay, so then he brings up something about sovereign. Now, I don't know if you guys have watched or studied anything about the sovereign citizen movement. If you haven't, I suggest you look into it. There's some pretty crazy stuff out there. And sometimes people call me not really a sovereign citizen. What is it? Paper? Well, they call them paper terrorists. I don't think I'm a paper terrorist. I'm a matter of factualist. Sometimes I call myself an attorney in fact, because I like to bring the facts when defending myself, and I try not to talk too much about people, like regular civilians, and I don't like talking about other civies. So I like talking about politicians and showing that kind of stuff. So anyway, you got to bring the facts and the receipts to the table when you talk about stuff. But that word sovereign, when I see that, first thing that I think of is sovereign citizen movement. Carlson claimed Israel pushed the U.S. into the Iran war through bribery or threat or both, while describing foreign lobbying, corporate control of government, and high interest debt as forms of slavery. That's interesting. And I know he just read all these out, but he went through them so quick. And then he goes on to say a whole bunch more stuff. And I guess I could look to see if that's even the proper 10-point plan, because like he said, that it just came out. So let's even see if that's the right one. Okay. So he's got it a little different on his page. So I'm just going to bounce over here real quick. This is what I'm looking at. Tucker Carlson has a 10-point plan for a new political project separate from President Donald Trump's MAGA movement. Carlson, who last month promised to help build a third party, laid out his vision. So I guess I'm behind. Well, I've been paying attention to local news and state news and defamation cases, okay? So, in my defense, I've been a little busy. So he laid out his vision in a 90-minute live stream on Wednesday. So guess what my weekend's going after I get off here today? My background sound is going to be some of Tucker Carlson stuff. Now, I did get off here last weekend, and I did watch the Sean Ryan podcast with Tucker. Okay, sorry. I can hear myself in the other room because my husband's actually watching the podcast. I'm going to shut my... Oh, honey, could you please shut the door so I can't hear me? It throws me off. Okay, now we're going to... Hold on. Okay, delayed. It was a delayed reaction. All right, there we go. Door's closed. I don't like the way I sound. I think I sound like a little 10-year-old, but I have a lot of good information to get out to people. That's why I like doing these podcasts. It's not about me per se. That's why I'm not I'm down here real small in the corner and not on the big screen. Because we should be focusing on what's going on around us and not on me. But anyway. So swipe to read the 10-point plan. So if you guys want to watch this or you want to look at some of this stuff, I will have it in my Veterans Coffee Club podcast group. And I see that Karen has graced us with her presence today. So let's see what she's over here saying. So perfect timing. We the people are the sovereign. See, okay, our servants are the citizens and the public. The bar created labeling the people as be sovereign as bad, when in fact we hold all power. See, and I don't know how to explain all of it. That's why I just told people to look into it. But I know there's something good about the word sovereign. I know it's in our founding documents. I just don't know how it relates with the sovereign citizen movement and what it actually says about sovereigns. So that's why I wasn't going to go into that. And then Karen says hello. And Karen, his name's Aaron. And I don't usually reference him a lot, and I probably should say his name more. My husband's name is Aaron Kapuscinski, and we've known each other since middle school, actually pre-middle school, Chesterfield, Indiana Little League. So it's kind of funny. We wound up years later rekindled and got married by 2013. So, and we've been married, that's 13 years now. He's like my best friend. Some days we're like worst enemies. It's kind of, it's crazy how that works, but it is what it is. So, all right. So what the topic that I'm covering right now is the third party, talks of a third party with Tucker Carlson. And I just wanted to verify that whatever we were looking at on Valhalla's podcast was accurate before I go on talking about the whole thing, and then it's a wash. I did that, I think, the week before last with the guy talking about the Israel merger, what it wasn't, and then I had sat there and talked about it for 15 minutes being all the things I thought it was. So, lesson learned. Decent, united. Where'd my screen go? Okay, yeah. That is his. That's it. So let's go back over here. This just has it all in one location. Can't really get it bigger than that. So sorry if you're on a phone trying to watch. The wording's kind of small. But if you guys want this video that I'm looking at, you can go over to Valhalla VFT. He's one of my favorite YouTubers to watch. Even though we may not always agree on everything, I look at him. I would go to war with him. I would fight with him. Like, not with him, but beside him in a war. Like, he's very knowledgeable about his stuff and his weapons and things that you need to survive something like that. And the soldiers I served with didn't look like him. I'm fluffy. And I used to make jokes when I was in, because I was a little older than everybody else. And so I went in, how old was I? 27, 28 when I joined, and I came home early 30s. And I was a little on the heavy side, but I always passed tape. So that's how I was able to stay in. And, I still could do everything that I needed to get done. I passed my PT test, but my strong suits are my strategies. Like, I'm a expert strategist, expert in research, logistics, and helping, movements. So, it's not always about the brute strength. You got to have somebody that can keep everybody organized. Like, you got a team of 20, and not everybody's strong suit is organization. Isn't that right, Aaron? That's why me and Aaron get along really well. I'm the organizer, and he's the loving husband. Anyway, So if you guys want to check this out, Tucker Carlson is running for president. Go into details, but I'll just fair warn anybody, if you want to watch the whole thing. Valhalla is not a fan of President Trump, so he may say things that hurts people's feelings when it comes to President Trump. But when I first started watching him, I thought he was a Trump. I just assumed he was a Trump voter, but I don't even think he's a Democrat either. And I think what I'm learning, well, locally, we have a lot of Democrat veterans. And I didn't realize that I was the odd man out per se for being a Republican until like this year, learning that a lot of the people that I know that are veterans locally or even across the state would consider themselves Democrats. And so that's been an interesting learning lesson for me. But when I first started watching Valhalla, I thought he was a Republican. And then I saw another video where they went into some protests, and I don't necessarily think he's Democrat either. I think he's his own thing. He's just independent thinker. So yeah, so if you go watch this, just be forewarned that he says stuff that some people may not like. Okay, back to, so sovereign, productive, America should rebuild farming, manufacturing, craftsmanship while rejecting an economy dominated by finance, real estate speculation, surveillance systems, and weapons. Okay, I agree with that. Because I don't know about all you, but I do not like this whole flock camera system. I get the need, because I like CCTV stuff over in Great Britain, and how they catch their criminals. But for some reason, and the flock system did catch Steve Sumner, the predator, the pedophile, politician, ex-former politician and pastor, Steve Sumner. It did catch him down in Kentucky. So I do see the good side of the flock cameras. I just don't like thinking that our every move is being recorded, and it goes back to, if you had a better vetting process in the first place, maybe we wouldn't have so many issues where we would need extra surveillance. But that's me. So okay, beautiful. Carlson alleged that urban planners deliberately uglified American cities and portrayed brutalist architecture, graffiti. Hey, I like graffiti. I think graffiti is an art form. And if you get the right artist, it looks really good. Public drug use. Now, I don't like the public drug use. So you're looking at, prime example, what is that? Seattle, Washington. Washington, I think, has a weird open drug use policy of some sort, but the one that pops in my head is Kensington, PA. If you don't know about Kensington, you should Google it. Where I'm at in Anderson, public drug use has started becoming a problem. And I think some of the larger cities like Indianapolis, I think somebody said Carmel, people are busing them here or bringing more homeless here. So some of them aren't like our normal, they didn't grow up here. And I used to know a bunch of the homeless people that were here. And then it turned, I think it was 2023, there was this, I don't know, it just turned different. And then now we see our public library, Anderson Public Library. There are some days that they sit out on this brick wall and fish out from whatever it is that they're using. I don't know if it's spice. I've heard spice, and I've heard a couple other things. And then I guess they can smoke heroin too at this point. But in Anderson, if you go in certain locations downtown, you can see public drug use. So I don't think I'll ever be able to get used to that ever. So I couldn't imagine living in places like PA, Kensington, or up in Washington, or even out in some of the things I'm seeing out in Cali. I don't know if I could live in places like that. So cleaning up all of our communities would be nice. Violent crime is deliberate attacks on the public. I do not like violent criminals. I think I said that earlier. in the podcast, anything. I mean, okay, one thing, the only difference, there is no difference between ISIS and a violent criminal, pretty much, because it's the same type behavior. So if I go into a foreign soil and I'm looking for the bad guys, okay, they don't have ISIS t-shirts on. You can kind of tell them by their behaviors, and then next thing you know, you got a situation on your hands that's, military engagement style combat. And they don't always give a word, so it's like certain behaviors. So violent criminals, they have the same, you can tell people who've been in trouble for violent crimes. I don't want to say profiling, but sometimes you can tell. And then I can tell a difference when somebody's getting ready to do something. I don't know, maybe it's just me in the training, or maybe it's all that trauma that I've experienced that causes me to see the red signs before something hits. Okay, so yeah, I would like to see a beautification in a lot of cities across the nation. Healthy. Carlson embraces RFK Jr.'s food agenda, called for universal sobriety, and said widespread use of drugs such as Xanax, Adderall, SSRIs had left Americans half. Okay, that's a misprint. And I think he's saying addicted, but it says, I don't even know what that word says. Addled, but that don't make sense. I was a generation of the Xannies when I was younger, and then they gave us Clonopins was one that I had a lot of, and when I was downrange, they gave me Adderall. Like, I don't know if that, like, they're saying you have ADHD, let's give you some Adderall, or if it was more of you're in a war zone, here's some Adderall to keep you moving. I don't know. It's weird, but we got a lot of those in the VA. So I think at one time I had upwards of 20 something different meds that I was on. Now today I choose a more organic treatment, and they won't let me have pain pills as long as I choose the organic plant. And then I'm getting another phone call from one of my little buddies that I guess doesn't realize I'm on a podcast right now. So I should just start turning off my phone so I can't even see anybody calling. Hold on. Let me send her a message before I carry on, so she might need something. Let me play this.
Standpoint, I think we do need to figure out our immigration system. We need massive reform. What that looks like, I don't really know yet. I need to see more context on that as well. And Joe Kent actually talked about this publicly on Piers Morgan just a few days ago. Piers actually asked Joe about this picture. Let's take a look.
Extraordinary photograph that emerged over the weekend. And you were in this picture. It was at Tucker Carlson's home. You're in there with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, Tucker. What was this? There is word that you're all planning, as Marjorie Taylor Greene put it, a new political movement. What is the movement? Could it be an actual party? What was going on?
Things are in the initial phases right now, but there is a growing consensus on, I think, both the right and the left of people who are sick and tired of the Republican Party. They're sick and tired of the Democrat Party.
Hey, I want to pop back on here. So it looks like we have a water emergency over here by Mounds. Hey, Aaron, they're saying that our water's been shut off. Can you hear me, Aaron? Will you go check the faucets, please and thank you? So if you guys don't follow along with some of the other stuff that I do locally, I am an environmental and water activist. I'm in the middle of this here. Can you just turn on and see if we have water? Because they're saying there's a water break at Mound State Park. You can't see. Okay, we're not on, is it brown? Okay, so now, if anybody's watching from Anderson, Madison County, just know there's a water break over by Mound State Park or somewhere out in this area that's causing water pressure to go down. Be watching that. And okay, so I did do Chesterfield. Sorry to get way off this topic of what I want to discover or talk about. Brown water as Chesterfield is at 65% above action level for E. coli, and it was spitting out into our environment either on the White River or in the middle of Chesterfield. And where I'm at here, I'm by Mound State Park and I'm on the White River, so the poop E. coli from Chesterfield floats here. So we just were talking about it. We talked about last weekend on one of my heads up lives, which is more spontaneous than the other ones I do because most of it's scheduled, but my heads up one, so I can just go live whenever I want. So we talked about the water issue on heads up, and then we talked about it on Nicole in all caps on Thursday. And so then today, now I did wake up this morning and see people talking about the brown water and Anderson, and here we go. Now there's something going on out here by Mounds. And so people are kind of, well, she called me because it's one of our topics that we cover together, me and Bree, and she's my younger little companion that came on the Nicole in all caps a few weeks ago. So she's fun to work with. So breaking news, we've got brown water today, and there's something major going on in Madison County. All right, let's get back over here. And I'll try not to pay attention to my phone. I got an hour. Pierce Morgan, uncensored.
They want us out of these foolish wars that we're just sitting here talking about right now. Most Americans have no idea what we're talking about. They don't know about Gaza. They don't know about the Straits of Hormuz. They just know that billions of their taxpayer dollars, their blood, their treasure, their sons and their daughters continue to get sent overseas. Our best and brightest get killed. Our taxpayer dollars get spent over there while things continue to decay here in America.
Yeah, actually, I think that is something that's becoming more and more agreed on by both the right and the left. That
okay, so I don't want to get too far into that and then get flagged. So that is kind of a rundown on that. So let's see if we can find some more information about the third party. Okay, that's probably what they were watching. Oh, that's the Young Turks. Had to look and make sure my mic wasn't muted because sometimes, okay, so I'm running the podcast off of this monitor. That's why sometimes you see me looking here. And then I run my, like what you're seeing on the screen, I run it from a different monitor. It's the same computer, just that's why you see me look over to the right a lot. Oh, look, hey, it's me. I like seeing my stuff pop up. Okay, me again. Oh, and if you wonder why I put it on so many different platforms, it's so if somebody gets one video flagged or one channel flagged, I don't have to spend all the extra time uploading it to other places. It's already there. But my main engagement is on the mouthwash. Although I don't know where Karen was tuned in. She could be on the Heads Up platform, but I try to hit the mouthwash more because the platform's bigger, and that's why we teamed up. So on the Veterans Coffee Club podcast, I'm trying to, well, our Coffee Club YouTube channel isn't even working. Since it's a newer build, we couldn't really get to where we needed to go. So we were kind of like a fish in water. And then when John offered to team up and let us use his, I was like, hey, that's a great idea. And then I was already doing the Nicole in all caps. Similar situation. We built another platform to do the podcast off of, and you have to have so many people, so many subscribers. So we couldn't even really launch that one properly. So we had all this equipment and blah, 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 but we couldn't really do anything. So John letting me come on his channel was a godsend. And now we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, podcasting and getting information out to everybody. So like an independent media, depending on the story, or journalist. Okay. It's not going, I kind of want to see, okay. I want to see what Marjorie Taylor Greene has to say. She has gotten booted by the President Trump, which I didn't get booted by President Trump. I got labeled as a Republican in bad standing by the Indiana GOP. But technically, if you look at the Indiana GOP rules, I don't even think President Trump would be a Republican in good standing per the rules that they have wrote. So I guess it just, they get to pick and choose who they have. So just keep that in your mind bank. Like, go look at the rules, and then in comparison to stuff you know about Trump, and see how it lines up. I think they had to vote for him to be on the ballot because of some of the organizational rules here in Indiana. And Marjorie Taylor Greene just got married. And I don't always agree with her either. I did like her in the beginning, but I think sometimes when people are mean to each other while they're debating, that means that their argument is whack, in my opinion. So when she started getting into the name calling and stuff with the other women is when I quit watching her. But seeing her pop back up with this third party idea has me like, what are you guys doing? What are you up to? Okay, I don't want to watch a whole 5. Let's see. Short and sweet. What are they gonna? I don't know if anything can be short and sweet. Well, hey, we could just go over here. I'll go ahead and put that on there. Okay. That's interesting. Sorry, I have not looked at her YouTube channel before, so now I'm going to have to go pick through some of her footage. Let's see. What is, you don't have a search? Everybody has search options, right? Oh, looks like she doesn't have very many videos, but that shouldn't stop me from being able to search her site. That's interesting. Okay, well, let's see. Let me do this differently. So, looks like the guys are coming out swinging. Okay, here's 2 minutes. Oh. Okay, let's check this.
You had said initially that you were, in part, leaving Congress because of the death threats that you were receiving in your family. Would you consider then running for public office again, or would that preclude you from that?
That's not something that I'm considering at this time. But those death threats were very real, hard to live with, especially the one that came in on my son after President Trump called me a traitor because I stood with women who were raped by all these people in these Epstein files. And, you know, just recently, it's approximately a week ago, another man was convicted for death threats that he had been calling into my congressional office while he was receiving a paycheck through the federal government working at Voice of America. So these cases continue on. They're very serious. Political violence is a major problem for all sides of the political aisle, and it's not good.
So no chance that you would run for president?
I'll never say never to anything. I don't think it's smart for anyone to do that in their life, but it's not something I'm talking about today.
Do you still consider yourself a Republican?
I consider myself a very proud American, and I am one of the many, many Americans that is growing, that is just so disgusted with the two-party establishment system that has failed America. I mean, look at us. The two parties together brought us to $40 trillion in debt. Social Security is going to be completely insolvent in 2032. So is Medicare, by the way. And our dollar, we've totally lost so much of the value of our dollar. All these things impact all Americans together. And the two parties are doing nothing about it.
So Tucker Carlson obviously has come out and said that he is going to actively start a third party. You have said that you've been in talks about a third party. Have you all communicated together?
We are talking together. There is a group of us that are talking together. We're not public with what we're talking about yet. But it's not only that we are talking together. There's many Americans that talk about this every single day. The things that I find really interesting, and I'm not seeing Americans wearing MAGA hats anymore. I'm hardly seeing those hats. They used to wear them constantly. I'm not seeing even Democrat voters excited about the future of the Democrat Party. As a matter of, you're seeing a lot of Democrat voters actually turn and vote for extremely different and new types of Democrat candidates.
You had said initially that you were in part leaving Congress.
If the Democrats don't.
All right. Interesting. I can see a third party coming. I'm not real happy with where I'm at. When I ran for office, I didn't expect to be punished right out the gate. And I feel like I was punished because I actually had a chance of taking back the Republican Party in Madison County. They know it. I know it. And that's why they're scared of me, but they try to turn me into a terrorist. They make false claims. That's why we have 11 defamation suits that will be dealt with in the next couple months. So if other people are getting treated like me, I can see why they want to break off to a third party. And all I can say is I think it's about to get really interesting on that note. I don't look at myself as a Republican in bad standing because I was blamed, or some of my accusers had actually committed things like voter fraud, and another one had been in trouble for a whole bunch of DWIs, and they still got him in. Then they put him in charge, not just in charge of a county, but then a district. And if I have to go commit a crime to get the party that I served under to, hey, notice me as a good candidate, then I guess I'm not really I have morals and values, and I'm not gonna go mistreat people to get attention from a party. So now I'm a Republican in bad standing in their eyes. In my eyes, I'm an independent Republican, but as I go in the future, it's most likely I'm gonna wind up calling myself just an American. I'm an American, and I want to see everybody prosper, not just myself. I don't know if that comes from being in the military, because they taught us to stay neutral a lot of times. And I just developed a neutral, and I always try to see the good and, what's the best option for everybody and not just a party and organization. I want to, and I have a lot of friends. I didn't realize how many friends I had that were of different party affiliations until I ran for office. And some people actually quit being my friend when I ran for the Republican Party. and they said a lot of really, really mean things to me that I would have never said to them if the roles were reversed. And then I think there was a couple podcasts about me. And then she didn't even tell me, but somehow I got tagged in the video, and I went back and watched it. And so, yeah, I lost a couple friends in 2026 over politics, and not even over presidents. Just I chose what I was going to run for, and then I turned around and I lose friends, like people that I would talk to on a daily basis, to get bullied by an organization. Right? I just, okay. So let's talk about some veterans news. What happened in the veterans world this week? Okay, let's go back over here. So there's been a couple things in DC in regards to VA news happening the last couple weeks. I think last week, there was something to do with the bill. I don't know if it was Takava. I'll just try to condense it down. But the VFW wound up getting in trouble, and one of the elected officials got mad, bought a t-shirt, and then tried to take away the VFW certifications. And so the VA community came out swinging, or the veterans community came out swinging. And it is very clear from what I've seen with the national stuff that the veterans community is now divided. And I don't know if it's divided. It doesn't appear to be divided by race. It seems to be divided by politics and who's choosing what side. Democrat, Republican, and I don't like the way that it makes me feel for all of us to be at odds with each other so much, because we were taught to be more of community while we're in, and then it's just really hurtful to see something as a t-shirt cause such a divide. And where do elected officials get off being able to punish, even if it's a veteran that's an elected official, punishing another person for protected speech because they didn't like the way the shirt, something on the shirt. After the uniform, a guy on Facebook has some video clips on it. Oh, okay. Something that popped, I just saw, they voted on something this week about an $800 increase for some veterans. So let's look and see what that was. And if it's for everybody or just certain vets. Okay. The VA $800 million increase refers to Department of Veterans Affairs realignment. No, oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Veterans Affairs realignment of VA news funding towards the Veterans Health Administration's non-recurring maintenance program. Separately, recent legislative news. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. News features an approximate $833 a month, $10,000 annually proposed disability compensation increase for catastrophically disabled veterans. Okay. Well, okay. I think something I saw pop up this week was that some of the more, or the more severe veterans are disqualified from being able to receive things like food stamps because of how much money they get each month. And it's a considerable amount these days in comparison to how it was, years ago. But anyway, they get capped, and then they gotta, you got your mortgage, utility bills, gas. If you're driving back and if you're driving back and forth as 100% VA disability, when you go to doctor's visits at different hospitals, well, and it depends because I have to drive an hour, and I'm on. They pay for my gas when I go to the hospital because I have the hour drive. So I plan a lot of stuff that I do for the month around my appointments with the Marion VA. So, you know, each vet's going to be different. But yeah, so it's really hard for some vets to live off 1,500 or 2,000, and it's kind of difficult to live off of 3,000. And I think the cap for I can't remember what it is, but I know that a lot of people that get VA disability above like 2,500 to 3,000, they don't get a lot of help, because I tried to get help before. It's really hard trying to be a mom, a vet, a wife, and all those things in between, and then provide for a family and feed everybody. So that'd be interesting. Or, you know, if they're not getting the food stamps like they should be getting, it'll be nice to see that increase for some of them. But then there is that part of me that's like, well, is anybody looking at their budgets to see what they are spending, you know, money on each month? Because if it's going into some stuff. But, you know, I've had to cut out a lot. I don't smoke anymore, like cigarettes. I've quit drinking alcohol. Well, one, because it was messing my teeth up. And then I had to have a bunch of work done. So, you know, you have that. And if you want to have nice teeth and keep your grill as you age, you gotta take out stuff that's causing the problem. So alcohol was eating my teeth, and it makes me get real swollen. So I had to cut it out. So that does give me more spending money, but then I've had to go get all these lawsuits started. So it is what it is. Let's keep going. Okay, so this looks like 7 different pay increases potentially on the way for veterans. Was that 13 minutes? This is a longer one. So if you want to check out some more in-depth stuff with veterans news, there's several people like this guy. I'm just going to click on this one for 3.5 seconds. Okay, here you go. Veterans Info Tap. So you can go find his channel. I'm going to go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe and like. Hit the like button on the videos. Help promote all of us, from the Veterans Coffee Club, Nicole in All Caps, Mouthwash Talk Show, what is it? Chateau de Mar Hills Studio Productions. Like all of us. But yeah, so this guy's got some good stuff on his page. Head over and see him. And I think he pretty much just does everything VA news coverage or VA benefits. Him and CivDiv. So this is a good one to follow. Get caught up on all the ins and outs. I think filing our comp claims is easier today than ever. And I think that some of the organizations that offer VSOs are kind of obsolete. I never get a call back from any of them anyway. Like, they're on my paperwork. I can't remember. I think it might be the VFW somewhere in Indy, but they never call me. They don't call me. They don't return my phone calls. So I just started doing all my own comp claims. I get on the VA.gov. Yeah. Make sure. So www.va.gov. And it's My Healthy Vet. Oh, yep. This is the page you want. But you got to get a sign in. if you don't have a sign in, create your account, get yourself in, and then you can do all kinds of stuff on the website these days. Like check your VA claim, decisions, review. I mean, I don't know if they put it in there before you create an account though. Like, I don't know if you sign in right now, but you have like a long history like I do. I don't know if you'll see all that or if they start putting all that stuff in after you create your account. But I strongly suggest getting this created before you try to do anything comp-wise. And then you can find people like this guy. What was his name again? The Veterans Info tab. You can find people like him. Let me see this out. So I should have just known to look these guys up before I start talking, because they always, this is one of my favorites. I just like him. I can follow along with him. And plus he wears like funny shirts like I like to do. So like on that one, his thumbnail, tinnitus. It used to be easy 10% VA disability rating, but they're trying to take that away. So if you don't have your claim in before that goes away, then you might be SOL unless you run into issues down the road. So let's see. What? That's not true. Military required. No military records. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and touch on it because
If you served in combat or you were a prisoner of war, the VA's own adjudication manual says your word alone can establish what happened to you in service.
Now, okay, take note. Now I want to know what it is. What page is it?
No treatment records required, and I'm going to read you the exact block. All right,
See
now,
why I like these
that
guys?
same block contains one sentence the VA flags as important, and it is the sentence that causes combat veterans to lose claims anyway. Most people quoting this manual skip it. I'll show it to you here in a second. And if you were not in combat and you've been told none of this applies to you, that's not what the manual says either. It says something more specific. And if you understand exactly what it says, you can beat the most common denial that the VA writes. Here is the M21 Attack 1 reference.
What? See, now I learned something new today, folks. Man, what is that thing? Known. Oh, no VA dot e-benefits. VA.gov. Ah, okay. I'm gonna write this down real quick, and then if you're a veteran and you want this link, let me know, and I will get something and put it in the podcast group. E-benefits. Can't get the whole link, so I'll have to play around here in a little bit to get a link.
521B to alpha acceptable lay evidence. Listen to this closely here. Lay evidence is acceptable for the purpose of establishing service incurrence or aggravation in the absence of service treatment records. In the absence of service treatment records for a combat veteran or a former prisoner of war. If, it's got to meet the criteria now, it's satisfactory, it's consistent with the circumstances, conditions, or hardships of combat, can prevail, this is the biggest part here, this is the one-liner, can prevail in spite, beautiful word choice here, of the absence of official records showing incurrence of aggravation, of disease or injury during service. If you don't have any records of hurting your back, and you're a combat veteran, and you hurt your back when you were in Afghanistan or Iraq or
I hurt
wherever
my
it is that you
shoulder.
were, bada bing, bada
And
boom,
my shoulder got hurt.
welcome to your big payday. Now, for not,
Well, ladies and gents, you're going to have to stay tuned for that one. Because if that is the case, I could be looking at a $50,000 plus payout from the VA over my shoulder and my neck. That would be lovely.
do not get mad at me if you're not a combat veteran. I didn't write the rules. I'm just reading it. Okay? Combat veterans have an easier time being service connected. I'm sorry.
That is true.
A
That is
non-combat veteran's lay, and I want you to see how these differ. A non-combat veteran's lay statements may be acceptable for establishing service incurrence or aggravation. Great. Here's where it differs for non-combat. But must be weighed against other evidence in the claims folder, including the absence of military records documenting or supporting these statements. Non-combat veterans, do you have a higher standard to meet? For lay evidence, again, I don't make the rules. Combat veterans, do you have...
And so the reason why some of us may not have the records like we're supposed to, one, the computers don't sync up. And I didn't learn that until I was in, and I know it's been a while, but they haven't fixed that issue. Sometimes you go in and you set up command, you may have, you may get internet, but stuff gets deleted between here and there, or it doesn't get properly filed where people can find it. Then there's the other issue. If you had a unit that was telling you not to go to sick call, if you had an injury, there was a lot of times they didn't want me going to sick call, but I still there towards the end was able to get to sick call, and it saved me for a couple of my service connected injuries. But there's sometimes you're in a war zone, you're doing something like if you're out on a mission, and that's kind of what happened with me. You get held over, so we couldn't get the mission done in 24 hours because we had a bunch of hiccups, and then we were getting shot at trying to drop T-walls somewhere in the middle of Baghdad, and we had to get back. Well, then we started having getting stopped, and so they kept seeing stuff, and I don't know if it was because people can't remember what crew we were with, if our guys were the new guys. It was probably most likely the newer guys that every time they see something, they just got the theater and was calling in the extra teams to come in and check out to see if it was a bomb threat or not. So it's kind of crazy. So you get into situations like that. And if it's just one of them fobs that is like a quick throw up, and they may have medical staff, you get seen, but it doesn't get noted necessarily into the documents. So there's a lot of combat veterans that may not have the proper documentation. And then if you're a non-combat veteran, your lay statements may be acceptable for establishing service incurrence or aggravation, but must be weighed against other evidence in the claims folder, including the absence of military records documenting or supporting the statements. That's interesting. Okay, moving forward. I only got like around 30 minutes left. So let's see what we could cover. Okay. What's this one? Okay, I want to click on this one.
President Trump signed an executive order to accelerate medical treatments for veterans. This is a huge topic that I don't think is being discussed as much. Here's him signing the order. It's actually in April of 2026. But what follows the executive order? There's Joe Rogan there. You see some big names.
This is when they legalized mushrooms too, psychedelics, I think, for VA treatment.
Faces here behind President Trump on this executive order. So today, we're actually going to be looking at an article from Elizabeth Hartman. All right. She's a Marine Corps veteran. She's an independent journalist. She did an article on this subject here. Highly recommend you follow her, support her, subscribe to her Substack. I'll leave all that stuff down below in the pinned comments. We're going to go through this. Also, it's a little biased because I'm in here too. This is me in the flesh. And so we're going to go through this.
At least he's honest.
And see what's up. Anyways, drugs and Jesus. If this is not your cup of tea, just go on. In February, I wrote about the American Legion's legislative agenda and its top priority, veteran suicide. I made the case that decades of grant programs, task forces, and pharmaceutical throw everything at the wall approaches had produced billions in spending and zero movement on the actual number that matters, roughly 6,000 veterans dead each year by their own hand. I argued that the one intervention with the deepest, most consistently replicated evidence behind it, stable marriage, family, and church, doesn't get funded because there isn't a revenue stream for boring, intact households. Don't be dismayed by this, okay? I mean, obviously, I'm a huge supporter, especially here. We'll get into that here in a second. I want you to focus on this part. Those don't get funded because there's not a revenue stream, and that really structures what we're about to get into here. It would appear we need to rehash this discussion. In May, the VFW put out a release celebrating the VA's first clinical trial of MDMA-assisted therapy for veterans, running out of the Providence VA healthcare system, aiming to enroll 80 veterans with co-occurring PTSD and alcohol use disorder. The trial traces its legal opening to an April executive order accelerating medical treatments for serious mental illness, which stripped federal barriers to psychedelic drug research and approval. National Commander Whitmore's statement. This was the previous National Commander. There's a new one now.
Now, because it's kind of funny. I wanted to talk about something that's happening today with the Libertarian Party towards the end, and it's going to involve a Whitmore. And so this is kind of our segue into the next topic. So it's interesting. That's how you know you're on the right path. The virtual trail for the day.
And the release hit the expected notes. Gratitude for removing red tape and calling for every tool at our disposal. Reading the release, I found myself asking one simple question: what does success actually look like? There was no mention of what would happen to the program or the partnership behind it. If 80 veterans were to go through a DMA protocol and the suicide numbers don't budge, it seemed to me we were repeating history, celebrating programs on their existence, not their results. Beautiful image. Earlier this week, during the VFW's national convention, the VFW invited the Grunt Style Foundation to host a panel, which, according to one member, felt more like a symposium. What we're about to read to you is very important as you open your ears. The panel had 5 veteran advocates and 1 medical expert. Topics covered a range of issues, from psychedelics from a practical and medical perspective to cannabis as a healing modality, to a push to force the VA to implement informed consent requirements around SSRIs and antidepressants. A quarter of the room reportedly walked in skeptical. Panelists remained an extra hour for testimonials and questions. One audience member, however, left early. Janae Sergio, a Navy veteran and team lead with Grunt Style, took to LinkedIn to extend her gratitude for those who took part in and organized the panel. She specifically thanks Eben Thampi, I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, for setting this up and putting together a powerful team. What's important to note, however, is Thampi is not a neutral convener. He's a registered lobbyist whose entire professional identity is built around cannabis and psychedelics policy. He's worked as a lobbyist for CBD American Shaman, founded an advocacy group called Psychedelic Missouri, and has spent years promoting companies like Silo Wellness, a publicly traded firm whose business model is legal psychedelic medicine access. In 2020, he pleaded guilty to a marijuana distribution charge. And while none of that necessarily makes him a bad person or disqualifies him from having opinions, it is information I believe should be disclosed to otherwise unassuming panel attendees.
Okay, so if you want to get more into this story, you can go check him out. And so I just butchered Whitty's last name. It's Whitmer, not Whitmore. So segue over into Indie Reporter, Stephen Whitmer. But I know him by Whitty. They call him Whitty. He's one of the other guys that shares the platform with on Mouthwash Talk Show. And today he's going to be in front of the Libertarian Party, kind of how what happened with me and the Republican Party. And I was hoping there might be a little segment that we could play. If Drew's on here, that's a good point. He caught something there. Is he related to Lana Kiesling? I'll go back and look at that later. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff brewing. So there's that. Something happened. So if you're not paying attention to whatever defamation case with him, with any reporter, check that out. What's he got? Okay, so there's that. Go check his feeds. All right, let's see what's Mouthwash. He's probably got his stuff on Mouthwash. So if you don't like, or if you haven't got over to the Mouthwash page yet, and you're new to watching the Veterans Coffee Club podcast, head over and give Mouthwash a like or two. There's a lot of different podcasts that go on each week. I wanted to catch one. Okay, well, I guess this is the one that kind of the hot topic. It's 54 minutes long. I don't know if I want to click on it because I wanted to find one talking about him and the Libertarian Party and the Republican Party. Okay.
Studio up in Indiana. We have a heck of a show. Well, I do really, because I'm the only guy that is talking right now. So, lots to talk about. The Kendall interview. I feel I'll talk about it later, but we got to talk about the Kendall interview, the Bovino event, and then Kendall ripping to shreds the Libertarians. Jimmy in the chat, let's go. So first things first. I got to do a little house cleaning. I am getting review bombed right now on Indie Reporter on the Facebook. I was at like 30% or even 28%, but as you can see, there are some people who are going into the comments of Indie Reporter and then dragging us through the mud, whatever. So if you could, go onto the Indie Reporter Facebook and just put a nice 5-star review. I think when I created the Facebook, it was not supposed to be a business, but it is what it is. Larry in the chat, let's go. And then also make sure that you go and hop on the. Let me put this in the private chat so you can put this in the regular chat for me. Make sure you go watch my interview with Rob Kendall. It was a whole lot of fun. It was 30 minutes, give or take. I know there's like probably like 10 minutes worth of commercials or 2 minutes worth of commercials. And we talked about 7 topics: the Bovino rally, the Palestine referendum, Max Engling. And I'm actually gonna talk about all of that because there was, you know,
I'll go back and watch.
I'm not dogging the whole thing. There's a lot to cover, and I blame myself that I didn't get to cover a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, because there was a lot of missed things that I had on my sheet, as you can see right here, but I did not talk about. Let me move this over real quick. There we go. And so make sure you go over there. We're going to get 1,000 views on it. I'm already feeling really good about it. We're going to get 1,000 views on that one. I think it'll be like the most views on his show for sure. All right, so let me talk about what happened with the Kendall interview. Well, actually, let me talk about this first. Bo Bai got $10,000 last week from In This Together PAC. And I think I had heard about this, and then I do remember. This is Andy Bershaw's PAC. He's the governor of Kentucky. Lame, but whatever. I think he did a podcast with them a few months ago. So,
okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay, no, that's not that. So yeah, Whitty's gonna go in front of the Libertarian Party today, and so it should be a very interesting situation. See how it plays out. I don't really know what to say about all these people getting in trouble this year with the different parties. I mean, I get where they're coming from, but I also don't get where they're coming from, because I don't feel like when you got the organization or the organizations that have their own numbers that are different from like your grassroots voters, like Republican or Democrat. I don't think that the organization should be mean to the independent grassroots voters or the candidates that run that have no idea what the organizational structures are about, but they sure did get my votes for many, many years before I figured out how it all played out. So I don't think that we should be, even as you go up the ladder, this is setting what I feel like is a precedence for our future, where, I mean, maybe it helps independents get into office or something along those lines. But I don't see this 2-party structure, or 3-party, if you want to consider, or 4th party. If they're just going to take the same problems into the new parties' organizational structures, then it's going to continue getting what we get. I thought, being an American, we all had a right to get to run for office, choose what party we affiliated with. I didn't know that it put you in a little bubble, or, you had to follow the structure. And if they don't like you, they can just come in and do whatever they want. That's not fair. So if you don't know about what happened with this deportation rally, I strongly suggest finding some information on it, because we got Cassie Jackson. Well, from an activism standpoint, she figured out where they were at. I mean, she did good with that. And then there's from what I see, she's calling a bunch of people Nazis. I don't know. I didn't follow this topic, so I can't say which side not. But I think now we're so far down the rabbit hole with people coming into our country, and there wasn't a good vetting process to begin with, and it kind of makes it difficult to try to go backwards. And so I think it's an uphill battle. But what I listened to the clip Brad and Drew were talking about it on their show, at the tail end of their show on Saturday. So catch that. But somebody took a camera in there, and then they were playing the video, and somebody else took a bunch of pictures of the people that are in here. And I don't want to say doxing. Some people are calling it doxing because it was supposed to be a private event, but I don't know. But they took pictures of people and then they put their pictures out online. So I think that's what's behind the defamation thing, but then it's the wording that follows. So go check out some of Witty's stuff. This is the one I'm referencing. And I do believe this is the one that had, the political spotlight. Christopher Bilbrey was on the Rents last Saturday. The Rents will be on tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Check them out. Brad's Dem. And as far as I understand now, Drew is a libertarian. So he's involved in this, what's going on with Witty today. He's the one that reminded me, actually, as soon as I woke up this morning, about today being the vote. So be watching for that. And they'll probably get on there tomorrow. Oh, the topic for the Rents tomorrow is going to be J6, January 6th event. Or somebody going to be on there who was actually on ground, boots on the ground when it all went down. You should check that out. But yeah, so they were talking about what happened, the tail end of their event. And then this is my first time actually checking to see how things pop up on this page. So let's see. Got a few more minutes. No, they don't do it like that. So I'll have to learn how to check their page or search their page for their videos. So like I said, Cassie Jackson has some stuff out. Indie Politics has something. Okay, let's read this one. So Marion County Libertarians are in open revolt against their own leadership. In a tense standing room only meeting Wednesday, members voted to call a special convention to decide whether to remove the county chair after weeks of controversy over his rhetoric, strategy, and comments about ballot access. So there we have it. That's happening today. So the Libertarians are in open revolt against their own leadership. The only thing I'll tell you, because I like a lot of libertarian aspects and belief. A lot of people sometimes say I'm a libertarian, and I started calling myself the conservatarian, because there's a lot of things I'm more conservative on, and I try to go in the middle, like a neutral. But I also still believe in freedom for everybody, so I can see where some people would say that. And then I had what's the guy's name? Mitch Hank on the radio show. He said, "Are you sure you're a Republican?" I was like, well, I don't know. So I guess I don't have the same typical belief system, because I believe in a clean environment and clean water. And I guess they were trying to tell me that Republicans don't usually get into those types of topics. And I was like, well, okay. I thought everybody did, so that's just me. So I don't know if I can read this article all the way though. Oh, it's an Abdul article. I already knew. So I have, on one of my defamation cases, Abdul is the attorney that Kelly Hewer got. So I am going to be debating him, I guess, in a roundabout way in the next couple months over getting punished for things I didn't do. And then for whatever reason, she went out and hired him. I wish it wasn't that way because I kind of liked him. No, I don't know what I think. But okay, so this says the Marion County Libertarian Party has set a special convention to decide whether to remove its county chair after a tense standing room only meeting that exposed deep divisions over leadership, messaging, and member engagement. And I think this is happening in all the parties right now, really, because Madison County has something going on. We've went through, or the Democrat Party in Madison County is on its like third chair in the last couple years, Democrat chair. I think they should have went with Strickler, Angie Strickler. If I was a Democrat, that would have been my pick, just because of the way that she just has a way about her. And I've worked with her on several projects dealing with like homelessness. We tag teamed on the Bingham Square ordeal where they turned the power off and like right before the first snow, and it was like an emergency. She came out and helped me. Oh, you guys aren't even on the same screen. So anyway, yeah, so it's happening in every party. Republican Party in Madison County, I think, is split right now. I don't know. I wouldn't vote for Kelly Hewer to lead us anywhere. I don't even think she could lead us out of a wet paper sack, but that's just me. And then she's punished me for false things I didn't even do or say. And then I get in trouble for saying something about a pedophile in a pew, and they were trying to write me up for the Madison County Election Board. But let's get back to this. So the meeting opened with a motion that the Marion County Party has a special convention on August 1st for the purpose of removing the chair from the position. So I guess they already had one of them, so this might be them coming back with a decision. Or is Drew on here? Okay, something happened to my... You guys, there was an issue. Okay, hey, Witty. See, hey, are you on here? Are you still on here? Because maybe you can explain this better. Because I was hoping that I could get some information. And he's the only one that popped up. And so now I'm kind of on that. If you just jumped on and then squirreled back off, no biggie. Be paying attention to him this week either way, because I'm sure he's going to come out and tell everybody what happened today. And then I do believe that Drew and them are going to touch base on it tomorrow. He told me to tune into it. So for some reason, my comment section over here. Okay. Hey, if I send you a link? Okay, here. He's here. So for some reason, my comment section was going down. So the meeting is today at 2 to see if I'll be removed as chair. That's sad. I mean, really. Do you want to pop on here real quick? I got like 5-10 minutes. You can kind of give everybody a lowdown or rundown on it. I'm going to send you a link. Oh, I can't. I don't think we're friends on here. Yeah. Jump on. Can you log into the studio and then go in the back doorway without me having to send you a link? If not, then I'll have to friend you real quick, or you friend me. George Washington, the freedom of speech may be taken away, and dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter. Yep. Okay. So for some reason, my comment section froze up. I should have did what I do with the other one. I usually turn this on. That's a good question. I think it's organizational structure. Like once they become that organization, they can kind of do whatever they want. is what I learned. I've been fighting it for a couple weeks from the Republican standpoint. And then they still took me off and I got punished for 10 years, and I don't feel like that's right. Okay, here he comes. I thought that was your other nickname. Okay. All right. It just popped up. Oh, no, there it was. Okay, get you on here. I gotta send him a link real quick, you guys, and he'll come on and give us his take. Yep, I see it. Invite, copy. Okay, there's your link. So we'll let him explain what's going on today to end the show out. Just give him a couple minutes. And I like the whatever platform that he uses aside from StreamYard that allows him to be in the middle of the screen. I like that one. I don't like this one I'm having problems with. It's either too far out or the little bubble. I sent you a link. You might want to check your, I don't know what it did. It says we're friends. So yeah, today's meeting is a pretty big deal, you guys. So if you enjoy anything political in the state of Indiana, you should be paying attention to this story and anything that the parties are doing. Okay, he's in. All right, I'm gonna put him on stage. Good morning.
Morning. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Was trying to explain the story and I was butchering it, so I'm glad you popped in.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite.
Drew told me about it this morning, and I thought it was last week, and then the first thing I pop up is Abdul's story. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what's going on there?
Right on. So yeah, appreciate you allowing me to come on here and straighten things out, because there's definitely been a lot of confusion. You're like one of the very rare people that are allowing me to have a voice on this whole thing. So basically what happened was last month there was I threw a giant grenade and basically called everybody, all the libertarians out, and that was to have the future of the next conversation of I want to win. In Marion County, we're basically a black hole. We're on our own island. Everything that applies to the rest of the state party doesn't really do anything. So what I wanted to do is get the conversation going. Is like, well, how do we win? And basically, my whole goal was, and I said right when I became chair, was I want to destroy the Marion County GOP. They haven't done anything. Their new leader is the worst. And I basically want disaffected, what you were saying, like in the middle, the paleo conservatives, the small L libertarians, because there's so many of those in Marion County. And I wanted them to come over to the Libertarian Party, or at least we're going to talk about the kitchen table issues. So fast forward now, last month we had our monthly meeting, and then Tim McGuire had a motion to have a vote to have me removed as chair, and he wanted to set for August 1st, but apparently there were procedure problems. And so we set it for today for August 8th at 2:00 in Fountain Square.
I thought I missed it, so okay.
No, not yet. So I'll be posting on and I'm sure Abdul will be there, and I think other people will be there too on what eventually happens. So there's going to be 15-person quorum, and then but like everybody that goes to the regular meetings, which will be like half of the quorum, are on my side. So they'll have to find like 9 more people that are completely against me. Which here's which is really interesting because don't mind me ranting off, and if you need to cut me off, just
No,
let me know.
we got I go off at 11, so I was just
okay.
gonna finish the show with your story, but you're here, so we can go until 11, and so you got 8 minutes. Just
Right
tell
on,
me.
appreciate it. So basically, where I'm at is the people that want me kicked out haven't shown up for meetings. And I've been hanging around since 2023. Libby Glass, who ran for city council, she was running against a Democratic socialist named Jesse Brown, and she, when I lost my primary when I was running for city council, I saw her was running against Jesse Brown. So I've been hanging around with the Libertarians since 2023, going to all their monthly meetings. And I wanted to get more involved, but like I was still a registered Republican at the time. And I wanted to try and help them out a little bit because they were like the underdog a little bit. They had good intentions. They said, I want to take care of the roads. I want to take care of the flooding, the bigger federal issues, really not that interested in. Yeah, that's part of the conversation, but it's not the things that I deal with every month or every day. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. I totally understand it. And I was kind of warming up to the idea of becoming chair because at the time, our current chair, he was not showing up to meetings. As far as I knew, he didn't even have a car. So for like 2 or 3 years, he maybe showed up to a dozen meetings, if that. Even when we had our last convention meeting in March of 24, basically they had to beg him to run as chair again, because if you don't, it's like part of the rules. Like you have to have a chair and you have to have a treasurer and a secretary. So Libby, who is the current treasurer and the secretary, she filled those 2 positions, and the previous guy was basically like a ghost. Really never showed up to meetings. So when we had our convention in March of this year, come to find out, he let his membership expire. But because of the chair position is elected every 2 years, you were basically going to have a county chair whose membership expired, never showed up to meetings. But because, that's how the rules are, we had to make a motion to suspend the rules so we can vote him out and then put me in. It's like, hey, guess what? The guy who's been here consistently since 2023, I want to get involved. I want to win. So all these people that came there last month, like I haven't seen them at all to any of the meetings. And these were all registered Marion County paying members of the party. And I was like, well, where have you guys been? I was like, I've been around since 23 hanging out. I've maybe seen like 1 or 2 of you guys, but overall, all the people that are getting mad right now, they haven't been around. It's like, I appreciate that you're a paying member, but like you have to show up to the party too, if you really want to get a voice in there.
Right.
It's like everything else, it's like, oh, you're only hearing because there's a fire coming out, but where were you when the smoke was coming?
Yeah, because I'm noticing all kinds of stuff with this party structure that nobody taught me anything, here I am. I'm a combat veteran. I thought I knew everything about politics, and then I know absolutely little. And I had my crash course with Catherine, and then in 24, and they literally about chopped her head off, and then because I'm her friend, I inherited the odds. And then what got me one of the things that got me in trouble on my complaint from everybody was that I congratulated Will Henry on his win to be on the ballot.
You got Colbert.
Do what?
You got Ken Colbert.
Oh, is that what he did, or what happened with him?
Yeah, I think he like either donated or congratulated, I think, a libertarian or an independent.
Interesting, because
you might want to talk to him. He's getting a misdemeanor right now because he was running for a delegate and they told him that he couldn't, and so they actually gave him a ticket, which is bananas. But what you were saying before, like a few minutes ago, of like the infighting, it's happening in all the parties right now, like Democrats,
like almost every county. And almost every single county, because me and Chris, we teamed up with him, and and when he talks about Delaware and says all that, and he, here I am, I'm like, I'm clueless, and then all of a sudden I get pulled into the Indiana GOP District 5, and you got the kangaroo court with, who was it? It was Hamilton County, Grant County, Delaware County, and Madison County, and these people wouldn't even let me speak. I couldn't even rebuttal the lies that they were telling, and that's how all my defamation cases got started. So
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't beat them before the vote. They was going to vote me out. I wasn't going to get to go to the convention. So I just wanted to make sure that my voice got heard before it was done. And so I filed 11 defamation lawsuits. And right now it's so funny. I got elected officials not wanting to show up to court and receive the summons. I'm like, okay, all right, guys, here we go. And it's just been nuts.
And all they had to do was just not lie. That's
Right.
it.
Right, because and I told him right when we started the little thing, I was like, "Is this the way you want to go?" Because I'm a factualist, and if you go
I'm giving you an out right now.
they gave me less than a minute to rebuttal, and I'm like, I talk a lot, so I need 5,000 words, and they only gave me like 5, and I felt violated. So I feel for you on what you're dealing with. And then what was the thing with the Republican Party? You won something on the Republican Party too?
Oh no! Well, I was a registered Republican. I was an elected precinct committeeman.
Okay, that was it.
And then everybody thought that I was a delegate at the convention when I was there just to cover it.
The news, yeah.
Everybody was putting it out there, including the guy from Indie Politics. I think I don't know if he spread something out, but I was hearing that he put something out there that is like I was a delegate or I was elected precinct committeeman. And just real quick, when I became a paying member of the Libertarian Party, or like it was in March actually, I sent an email to the Marion County Party saying that I'm no longer a Republican. But I think you probably know the Republican Party right now is such a mess that they probably didn't get it. Might have went into their spam or something, or they're just not even paying attention. So then when I paid to go to the convention and so I could go and cover it, I was like, I paid. I was not an elected delegate. In fact, I didn't even vote in the primary because apparently if you're a libertarian, you're not allowed to vote in the primary. So I made sure that I followed all the rules.
Yeah, I just learned that. And I paid my fee, and you know what? They haven't given it back to me yet. They didn't. they didn't. They won't even. I sent out some FOIAs or APRAs, and I was like, well, who did you vote in? Because when I followed the trail, there was 8 appointed delegates that did not run for office, and they were getting mad at me because I was texting them live. I'm like, I see who your appointed people are. You better have a piece of paper showing me like who appointed them, why they got appointed, who they filled in for, because I think they put Chloe, Kyle Pierce's wife, in my spot. And then they were on the Max Engling thing. So thank you for the following the Max Engling case, because you put something up a couple weeks ago that paired it into, what is it, Rudy Yakim?
Oh, Rudy Yakim. Rudy Yakim. Yeah.
Okay, so him running against Will Henry, and Will Henry was the one that I congratulated.
Oh, so that's what it was?
It was in my complaint, and so I had no clue who the dude was, and then you put that on there, and I was like, hey, this mother effers got me hardcore, and I had no idea. Will Henry's another veteran, and combat veteran at that too, and so I congratulate him, and then they're like, in my complaint, she congratulated the opponent of, how do you say the guy's name?
They consider that a Republican in bad standing then.
Right. And so that's how they got me. And that was one of many, because the other thing that got me, I was going to vote for David Shelton. So I had already put that out publicly that I was going to.
That's what happened. Yeah.
And then me and Diego's had a couple run-ins, and I shared because I kept asking him, like, okay, I asked about his DD-214. He avoided that question. And then, what was it? I was trying to figure out who was in charge of the election boards, and I found out nobody. They're like, he's not even in charge of them. So then that kind of sucked.
They're appointed positions. Yeah.
And then they told me, Diego was in my complaint and said that I was harassing him because I'm like, so they banned me from social media. And I was like, why? Because I'm onto something. And then,
wait, did he block you on Twitter too?
Well, see, I haven't got into all the other ones because I run this massive platform over here on Facebook, and I just came out of my timeout like July 6, 2026, and I've been trying to keep that thing afloat for like the last year, so I didn't get get kicked out even more and then get canceled again. So, yeah, no, I lost my train of thought.
The complaints.
Something to do with the complaints, but I do, I'm pro cannabis and I have short-term memory loss sometimes. So anyway, I squirreled in my brain thought and lost it. So I think it's because it was my time over here. It says 11:02. I didn't want to get a rolling blackout by John for going over. Not that he would do it, but it does cross my mind.
If he'll just kill it right there.
Yeah. Are you going to be on today?
Yeah, I'm going to be on at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Talk about it. There's a whole lot of drama going on right too.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure you probably saw that.
I've seen some of it, so I'm going to be following that. So you'll be on tonight at 8. So everybody tune in. And then aren't you on another night too?
I'm on Tuesdays on Mouthwash. That's like the PG show, and then the Saturdays the rated R show.
Aha. All right. Well then I'll be seeing you later on tonight then, Whitty. So
awesome. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. You have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, so we're done. I'm going off. Get my ugly mug off there. I don't have my outro video yet, so I'm just going to do my intro because I think it's cool. But we are done. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Grab a cup, grab a chair. The Veterans Coffee Club podcast is on the air. Different branches, different posts, different years, same ride. We know the long convoys, guardships, chow halls, pride. We know the crackle of a radio, boots humming on the floor, letters home, family calls, the waiting by the door. No matter where we serve or the uniform we wore, there's always room around this table. Come on in and shut the door. Veterans Coffee Club podcast. Pull up and take a seat.